We're gonna get a little dark today, not in a bad way. We're gonna talk about what happens to your business and your family if you should unalive, right? If you should pass away, what happened?
Unalive.
If you should unalive. You know, it's a dark topic to talk about. Nobody ever wants to talk about death or think about it, or God forbid anything were to ever happen to any of us, what should happen. But here's the deal. We can't plan for tomorrow, and everything is always unexpected. And if we're not set up to take care of people that we leave behind, then what are we even doing?
No, I've never heard anybody in the fitness business. Okay, let's talk about when you die. Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple six figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. All right, welcome back to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs, everybody. Andy and I were just laughing about the topic, but because he saw this, he's like, "Oh, you're going there."
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get a little dark today, not in a bad way. We're gonna talk about what happens to your business and your family if you should unalive, right? If you should pass away, what happened?
Unalive.
If you should unalive, what happens to your business and your family? And you know, it's a dark topic to talk about. Nobody ever wants to talk about death or think about it, or God forbid anything were to ever happen to any of us, what should happen. But here's the deal. We can't plan for tomorrow, and everything is always unexpected. And if we're not set up to take care of people that we leave behind, then what are we even doing?
Yeah. I tell you what, no, I've never heard anybody in the fitness business. Okay, let's talk about when you die, right?
Right.
But man, so the reason that it's on my mind a lot is because, first of all, I've got a wife and two kids, right?
And I've got a wife and a kid.
Yep. And it gets very real when you have kids too. But at the end of the day, my wife, since we had our first, who's 9 now, she stayed at home. She's not had a job or worked. And the thing is, as a business owner, the business quite often in the fitness space, that business doesn't continue to survive if you die.
Very true.
It doesn't. And then could your wife just jump in and handle everything and take care of the kids or your husband, whatever? And it just, man, it would destroy your family and your kids and your spouse. There's a lot of risk involved. You know, it's not like a steady job. And then if both spouses are working a steady job, even what happens if half your income goes away or more?
For most people, it'd be devastating for their families.
Absolutely devastating on the heels of having your spouse die, which is going to think of how that's going to just affect you and your mental state, your ability to work everything. And like, I've seen this happen many times. First of all, I'm 42 now. And it's at that age where, like, man, a lot of people I grew up with or friends that I had, like cancer or this or that, like it happens. And I remember, especially, I thought about it a lot in the gym industry. It was just a few years ago. I think it was maybe like 2021, 2022. And there was so much stress with fitness business owners in COVID, right? And there's a lot of gym owners, particularly CrossFit gym owners, like a lot of them are veteran owned quite often. Yep. And it was 1 year.
Started at least, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it was 1 year where there were 3 gym owners in my network. A couple of them I didn't know personally, but I was 1 degree separation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or I knew of them. They committed suicide. 3. And again, that was times and stuff like that. But man, this stuff happens. And the first thing to ever happen is a GoFundMe for the family.
Right.
And that's heartbreaking because they might get $30 or $40 or $50 or $60 or $80,000 raising from their community, which is amazing. But how freaking far is that going to go? I mean,
the sad part is not far.
It's going to go nowhere.
it's the hard reality. Yes, setting up a GoFundMe is like the first thing that a community should do for a family. But honestly, the money that's generated is not going to get you super far. My dad just passed away. When we're recording this, it's now almost August. He passed away in February. So what, 6 months ago, right? And like between the funeral arrangements and the bills that had piled up for like his house and stuff, money does not last. It's incredible.
Yeah. Just funeral expenses, and quite often all this stuff like is going into probate. Like when you die, your assets, shared assets and stuff like that, it goes into like probate and bank accounts that haven't been properly handled and stuff. Goes into probate, which ties up money.
Which is why you need a will, which is another topic for another
totally podcast, another topic, a will or trust, right?
Yep.
And it ties it up, and it's expensive, and it takes a long time. And at the end of the day, that costs money. Funeral arrangements cost money. This, that, and the other. You have a whole income that is wiped out permanently for the next several decades. And it's up to that remaining spouse to handle the kids and everything. And again, how much money is it going to cost? First of all, the business is going to shut down.
Right.
Completely. Unless you have a partner, an operating partner, then it could survive. But even that you need insurance for. Because your partner, think if those of you who have a partner, think if, and they work in the business, think if they died.
Right. How much work would that put on you?
And you're going to have to pay out that partner's spouse or heirs for their portion of the business equity.
Right.
Do you have the money to do that right now? Most do not.
Nope.
And so whether you have a family or you've got a partner, holy cow, if something happens to one or the other, it's devastating. And even think of if you own a gym and your spouse also works and your spouse died. Now all the bills are on you. You're going to have extra household duties, whether it's with kids or not, or just household stuff, or maybe you were splitting the rent or mortgage and now it's all on you, right? We're very vulnerable if something happens to us or our loved ones. And a GoFundMe is the shortest, like that's just going to get you by for a little while. And then think of the kids and the opportunities that they're not going to have. Here's the good news. Okay, so that's the bad news.
Right. Not all doom and gloom. Let's talk about some actionable things that you guys can do right now to make sure that you're set up so that should, God forbid, anything happen, you will be what your family and business will be better taken care of. So
absolutely.
Let's talk about the happier things.
Yeah, the good news is you can protect yourself against all of this. Right. And your family needs not ever have to worry about money ever again, actually. Or you can get one on your spouse. Like we were just talking, Andy, you have a life insurance policy on yourself, right?
Yep.
And then your family, your wife and your child will be taken care of. You also have one on your wife, right? So if something happens to her, it protects you and your child.
Correct.
And so life insurance, if you own a business and you either have a spouse or you have a family, it is massively, massively, massively important. Massively important to have. And there are two types of life insurance. So number one
before you go into this, Scott, I want to just preface this because I think that for a lot of people, especially gym owners who probably are not as educated in financing and estate planning and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people don't understand that there are two different types of life insurance. And a lot of people might have a bad impression of what life insurance is because what they think is it's term life insurance. And maybe they've had an experience or they heard a story where somebody had term life insurance and they passed away and then the insurance company didn't pay out. And that does happen. But there's another version of life insurance as well. And you're going to go over both of these. But I just wanted to preface this that if I don't want people to be turned off by us going over life insurance and automatically somebody being like, ugh, life insurance. Like it's a scam.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you've experienced that or heard a story about that, but it isn't always like that. So I just wanted to preface that so that people didn't automatically just tune out from here.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. So people, like a lot of people think all kinds of insurance is a gamble, right? Like you're betting, it's like betting on the house. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's placing
betting
a bet
against yourself.
Yeah. And that's just not the case. And a lot of people, you hear the really frugal and the penny pincher stuff saying, try to get the cheapest insurance and blah, blah, blah. It's just not smart. The risk of total loss and annihilation over your assets and everything like that is very real. It's very real. And even your homeowner's insurance. People are like, well, yeah, if your mortgage is fully paid off and you could afford to rebuild the house, you should cancel it and save the money. That is the dumbest thing in the world. It really is. Now, at a certain level, sure, you could start doing that. But I'm talking you need to own tens of millions of dollars of property.
Yeah.
Let's say you're retiring with $800,000 in a paid off mortgage, but it would cost you $500,000 to rebuild your house. You can't do that. But let me just put it in terms of what people can think of, right? And let's say it would cost $500,000 to rebuild your house. And you're like, cool, yeah, let me save on the homeowner's insurance. Yeah, let's say it does burn down, which just happened to somebody I know, 2 people in the last 2 months, okay, fire. You now have $300,000 to retire on.
Yeah.
That is catastrophic failure. Your retirement is done.
No.
Done. You're going to live in squalor until you die, okay?
Yep.
That's period. Because you were too cheap to do homeowner's insurance. You need to protect the wealthiest people, protect themselves. The wealthiest people have the most insurance, period. And that's whether it's health insurance, whether it is life insurance, whether it's auto insurance, right? All those things. There are some exceptions on auto insurance, some on why you might not want collision and comprehensive. We don't need to talk about that today. But the bottom line is life insurance is a necessity if you've got a partner, if you've got a family that you need to care for. Period. So there's 2 types. There's term insurance, which is very cheap. If you're in really good health, depending on your age and sex and factors, you might be able to get $1 million for maybe $75 a month. If you're in really good health. If you needed $500,000, it's going to be half that. So what are you looking at really? You're looking at like $35 a month for a $500,000 policy, if you're in really good health, that is, right?
And we are speaking to gym owners, and most of you are probably in really good health. So
that's the great thing. So I use a lot of I have some term, but whole life is something that's permanent insurance because the downside of term, upside of it is cheap. The downside of term is that you're only going to get it for like a 10, 20, 30-year policy. And when you're older, it's going to be a lot more expensive to get that, almost prohibitively expensive to a certain point, right? So term isn't going to last a lifetime, but whole life, I have policies on whole life. You have policies on whole life.
I do. I have a whole life. I have a term and whole life on myself. I have a term and whole life on my wife. And then we have a whole life insurance policy on our 4-year-old.
Yes. And that's really smart because these things generate cash value over the long period of time. And then you have permanent insurance. Like, for instance, tell me about your sons that you kind of have.
Yeah. So before I go into it, I remember when I met with my financial advisor and we were going over term versus whole, and it was a really confusing thing for me. And the way that they phrased it, which made it a little bit more simple, and it's a really like dumbed down way of looking at it. But term life insurance is something that you rent, right? You are renting it. Whole life insurance you own, right? Mm-hmm. So term is something that you pay into, and if you don't use it, well, then it goes away. Whereas whole life insurance is something that you pay into, and then it becomes yours, which is really nice. But so what we did is when we were talking with our financial advisor, and our son was about to be born, we said, hey, what are we looking at as far as setting up a legacy for him? She said, well, there are a couple of different options. And one of them was this fund that we could put together. So basically we would pay into it. It would accrue interest for college. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. She's like, why? A lot of people do that. I go, yeah, but what if he doesn't want to go to college? She's like, well, then you don't get to use the money. And I said, well, that's stupid. So like, why would I do that? And believe me, I went to college, but I also don't think everyone needs to go to college nowadays.
Agreed.
So instead, what we did is we set up a whole life insurance policy for him. And essentially what happens is we pay into it every single month. I don't remember the exact amount, but it is actually a very minimal amount because he's so young. But what happens is we can stop paying into it at a certain point. I don't remember the amount of years, but it's like 20 years or something like that, 25 years or something like that. But the cool thing is that it accrues value and it accrues, what's the word I'm looking for? Value. Every single year that we pay into it. And so when he's 18, the actual like cash value, that was what I was looking for earlier, cash
Mhm.
value of that policy that he could literally just take out is, I think, and I don't remember off the top of my head, it's something like 50 or $75,000. And then if he chooses not to take that money out and continues to pay into it, and then he can choose to pay into it after we're done, he can keep accruing. And like by the time he's like 35, it'll accrue to like a 250,000 or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
remember the exact numbers, but essentially we set it up so that we pay into this thing every single month, and he will have cash value that he can utilize to buy a car, put down a down payment for a house, go to college if that's what he wants. He can choose what he does with it when he becomes 18. And for us, that made much more sense because it gives us flexibility in what we want to do with it,
Hmm.
what he wants to do with it.
Yep.
So that's what we said. That's why we did it for him.
Yeah. And whole life is an amazing vehicle. You hear from guys like Dave Ramsey, never get whole life, buy term, invest the difference. Now, that's beyond the scope of this podcast for me to dissect, but that's actually horrible blanket advice. Horrible. It's just not good. And I do like certain things that Dave Ramsey does. I like his about, striving to be debt free, not totally debt free. Debt is leverage. Debt is how
Mm-hmm.
you have debt on real estate that cash flows and makes you a lot of money. So do I, right?
Exactly.
Like that, his overall, like I like his message about living within your means, not
Right.
overextending yourself on consumer credit. But in terms of building wealth, his advice will keep you squarely in the middle class at best.
Average.
It's
He will keep you average.
average. And as an entrepreneur, you do need to think, you need to expand just beyond that linear thinking because it will keep you trapped.
Exactly.
And so I don't want to go into we can hit that on another one. But the bottom line is I have whole life on myself. One of the first policies I got, and yeah, it's right away. I had $2.8 million that goes to my wife and my kids, tax free if I die. And
Yeah.
it just grows and grows and grows. My cash value is hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. And I've used those same funds to acquire cash flowing real estate. And so that's whole life. There's different ways it can be applied and used, but it's permanent insurance. So you at least need term. Those of you who are looking to really accumulate a lot of cash that gets tax deferred or free, depending on how you use it and access it, it's so powerful. And if you're somebody who needs to look into life insurance, email me. Email me at lifeinsurance@theprofitlifestyle.com. Lifeinsurance@theprofitlifestyle.com. I'd say about a year and a half ago, I ended up getting licensed for insurance for myself. I want to learn the ins and outs on whole life and how to build it where it has all these multiple benefits, where it's accruing cash value without being taxed every year. It's providing permanent insurance. It's like you said, I can use that same cash value to buy real estate, to fund a
Mm-hmm.
college education. I can use it to acquire a business, which I've done all of those things,
Yeah.
right? I put my
And
money
one
to
of the
work
great
in.
things is it's not tied to the market.
Yes, yes. But it earns a great return at the
It does.
same time without having the risks of that market exposure in stocks and
And the
bonds.
volatility that makes people's stomachs do roller coaster rides. Like
Exactly.
it's just steady. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's comforting.
It really is. And what you see is what you get on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no hidden fees and this and that and the other. They're great vehicles to grow your wealth. And I'm a huge proponent of them. I talked at the Growth Summit in Chicago last year on them and how I've used them. I'm a show not tell. And if anybody wants to watch recordings of that or how I talk about how that works, just let me know. Or you can go to theprofitlifestyle.com. I think there's a tab on infinite banking or something like that. And you can watch some instructional videos on it. But if you need to get term or if you want to look into whole, just email me. I don't really publicly, I don't do that a lot because I don't have the time for it. I'm so busy with gym owners and helping with their businesses and my own businesses. But for friends, for family, for people in my network, for gym owners, you need some help building a policy. I can walk you through it, get the absolute best one for you and all that kind of stuff. So I can easily help you out with that. So just email me at lifeinsurance@theprofitlifestyle.com. But I mean, that's really one of the first times I've talked about it in public too. But man, is it so important. I mean, my wife will be screwed if something happens to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I have business partners. And like, if I die, my family needs to be paid out on my portion of it. They need to be able to do that, and they need to be able to have enough funds to like make it go on their own too. Because otherwise, and maybe it's just you, but man, that business folds. You know what I mean? In quite a way. And likewise, I don't operate my gyms, right? I have operators at my gyms. I have life insurance policies on them because if they die, it's really going to affect my income in a big way.
Yeah.
And I need to offset this. Now, let me show this one thing too. This is why you need to find somebody who knows what they're doing. I ended up getting a term policy on one of my partners who co-owns it with me. He operates it 100%. And I got term on him. Okay. I opted to get the convertible term. Convertible terms means I can turn that into a whole life policy later on. Here's why, regardless of what happens with his health, and here's why it's so dang important, and it's a terrible thing, but who knows why? He's young. He's like 39, I think. But, you know, he developed pericarditis, swelling around the heart really bad, out of freaking nowhere. He's healthy as anything. And it's such a scare. He's been laid up in the hospital for like over a week at a time, multiple times.
Oh.
Doctors can't, like, he's gone everywhere, you know, and it's so scary. And he's such an amazing person. And thankfully, he got a whole life policy a few years before that. Thankfully, I got the term on him convertible because now, because he had this thing come out of nowhere, he thinks it's vaccine injury. Who knows? I mean, this guy is healthy. And it could be that. I mean, there has been stuff with that, right? But who knows? If he tried to get a life insurance policy, or I tried to get a life insurance policy on him, no way. Because they check medical records. Nobody will do it, right? No. So his spouse would be, if something happens to him, in a really bad spot. Thankfully, he got the whole life. Thankfully, I got the convertible term. Am I going to convert that into whole life? You're damn straight I will. And that's why you want, sometimes you want to get the convertible, because if something happens like it did to me personally, you can turn it into a permanent policy.
And so the way that works is, and I know this because our term policies, both on myself and my wife, are convertible. So every single year we chat with our financial advisor and she says, hey, would you like to convert what you've put into your term into your life? And we say, absolutely. Now there's some limitations there. You can only convert so much. It's not like you can like pay extra and that gets convertible and things like that. But it is definitely a great policy to have along with a whole life insurance policy so that we can basically just take as we pay into the term and it accrues what would be considered interest for the most part. We can then take that and put that into our whole life. So then it just starts generating cash value for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. So yeah, this isn't the most fun episode we've ever done, guys.
Nope.
But you guys know I'm passionate about not just helping you make money in your gyms, but be a good steward of that money. What to do on the other end of it to pay the least amount to the IRS with your LLC structure and what you do on your tax write-offs and all that kind of stuff. And what you do with those funds to protect your wealth and to grow it, invest it so you can have passive income where you don't have to worry about money all the time, right? You're going to get your money working for you and have it make babies and passive income. And you need to protect that too against worst case scenarios, which happen in real life all the time. We just never think it's going to happen to us.
But now I want to coin the term money babies. Just give me all the money babies.
Give me all the money babies. So yeah, a lot of our episodes will be talking about things that are more geared towards wealth building. And I hope you guys are okay with that. That's another reason why you need to take your businesses seriously. Damn. Like if you can just make an extra $5K a month profit, you know, $60K, and instead of just immediately buying a G-Wagon, right? Doing the right and smart things with that money, shoot, you can be in an amazing position just a few years from now where you're just so less stressed and you're making money babies.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And I've done it. Andy, you've done it, right? What you're doing, you've done some of these right things. So we're excited to come and share this stuff with you as well. So Guys, email me if you need help with it. lifeinsurance@theprofitlifestyle.com. Be happy to help you with a term or a whole life or that kind of mixture in between, right? But that's it for today. And I appreciate you listening in to such a morbid one. We were joking around how it's like an emo topic. And, it reminds me of that South Park episode from like 20 years ago, and life is pain. And we're flipping our hair that neither of us have anymore.
No hair. Also, just I'm visioning that South Park episode. I know exactly what you're talking about. But regardless, also wanted you guys to save the date. We are hosting an in-person live event in Scottsdale on November 14th and 15th of this year. It's going to be great. We're doing it in conjunction with Matt Wilbur. It's called the Gym Profit Summit. So definitely mark those calendars. We'll have more information for you guys in the coming weeks. I just wanted to get it out there so that you guys can put on your calendars and save it. We are probably going to be capped at about 120. So if you guys want to get on the early bird list, definitely shoot us an email. We'll get you on that list once we release some stuff. But hopefully we'll see you guys all in Scottsdale, because it'd be great to hang out, talk gym, talk profit, talk lifestyle, maybe grab a beer or two, and just have a great time. I'm super excited for it.
It's going to be awesome. And for those of you that are working with us, right, in some capacity on our Dream Business Mentorship, and you're actively working with Andy and I and our clients, we're even going to have an extra day. Fly out early. We're all going to spend a personal day together, and it'll be pretty awesome. I love the in-person stuff, man. It feeds my energy and my soul for months. Like, I need it.
So excited to be doing this.
Yeah. November 14th and 15th, everybody. So mark your calendars. Info coming soon. Thanks a lot. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast, share it with those who need to hear it too. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business, whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.